I started doing Trans-Kambin OLLIF about 2012, 2013. So it's already 12, 13 years old that I have been doing that. When I watched it, I noticed that the learning curve is very steep. So I did two things. I developed a protocol about how to learn it and how to teach it, and as well another protocol about how the hardware can become more refined. And then we developed, based on that, the so-called soft transition. It was interesting that about 500 people got trained, but less than 5% kept doing it. And eventually, I start calling some of them, and I caught a little more than 30 surgeons, and they all told me, all of them almost told me, that between 5 and 7 cases, when they had the first postoperative follow-up, literally they saw that the rate of nerve irritation is somewhere between 30 and 60%, in average 45% and so on, and that scared them. Now, then they quit doing that. What they didn't know, that if they would have continued doing, two things would have happened. By the time they follow up the patient 3 to 6 months, almost 90 of them, it's all reversed, everything is good again, so good prognosis. But as well, they would have noticed that that rate drops dramatically after case 20. And that is where you see in our curvature, when we look at every surgeon after case 20, it dramatically become more efficient. As well, we noticed when we trained in our Inspired Spine probably over 100 people or more, probably more. And we noticed that the learning curve is more or less the same, with one difference. People who come and are critical and they say, oh, this is hard, I don't know if I'm going to do that, versus people who come say, oh, that's easy to do. We notice people who are critical, they have almost twice as fast learning curve than people who think it's easy. And I think that has something with, when you think it's hard, you pay more attention to the details, and it's a lot about details. We noticed that, initially in the first learning curve, not only you poke more below the fascia, but as well, when you are dead, you just move around, you just hit the nerve more and more, literally putting the tip in and then moving it back and forth until you are where you are. And that has been a second greatest factor for nerve irritation. The first being if it's 5S1. Now, additionally, we notice as well that many of these patients that, you just poke and poke and poke in your learning curve, you poke into sometimes in the iliopsoas inadvertently, and then they as well become really sore when they bring the leg up. So that nerve irritation is not really the nerve irritation, it's a iliopsoas irritation, sometimes even compartment syndrome, if you pass it more than 7 times in the iliopsoas. Inadvertently, we saw as well that if we pair experienced surgeon and somebody who want to learn it, the learning curve become twice as fast, and then in the learning curve you don't have that 30 to 60% nerve irritation. Like Dr. Gasco never had that amount of nerve irritation ever. And what we noticed, that within 20 cases he was hitting my metrics when I was doing 200. Within 50 cases, he was doing cases that I did after 500. And within 70 to 100 cases, he started doing scoliosis, whereas I started doing serious scoliosis after 700 to 800 cases. So, and I think that is what extremely important, that, taking advantage of somebody coming, and there are so many details. When they come, and this is what many people have told me, when they come to us, they notice two things. It look easy. There's nothing easy about it. It just look easy because I have done 1,900 of it. And secondly, it goes fast and efficient. What that means, because it goes fast, while you are just chatting or answering a text in the surgery, you missed already 3 different steps that goes with the surgery. So the soft transition works in the sense that I scrub in with them. The first case, I set it up, I prepare, I draw the lines, and I literally hand them over, just help them to get the angle. And for example, I tell them, hit the pedicle of the level below and slide it over it, so you don't go back and forth and you don't sweep exactly in the Trans-Kambin triangle where the nerve is. That increased the nerve root. That alone cut your neuritis rate to half. But then the second case is that I set it up, I possibly even mark it, but then you do more, the person who's going to learn do more and more. By case 3, they mark it, they do most of the approaches. 90% of them by case 6, practically doing the entire cases, and I give them advices about, change the angle, go a little up, go a little down, aim here and there, is it good, is it not good? Because many times, you're in the right place, but since they haven't done that, they don't know. They take something that's good, they just redo it. So you made another pass and so on. So just by being there and guiding them in that narrow path, it makes it more efficient, less pass, and the rate of neuritis become like maybe a little higher than my risk of neuritis, but not by far, not that 30 to 60% what other people have reported in their learning curve, and that's the reason they give up. Thank you.